Sometimes you can just feel it. There's an ease, a spark, a quiet understanding between you and another person. You don't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations. The way you talk, the way you notice each other, the way you naturally connect says it all. But how do you know if it's really mutual? In this video, we'll explore 10 clear, down-to-earth signs that you both like each other. Signs based on genuine respect, comfort, and emotional connection. If you recognize these in your own interactions, chances are the feeling goes both ways. And if you enjoy videos like this, make sure to subscribe to Psychology Tips for daily insights into relationships, human behavior, and timeless wisdom, helping you understand not just others, but yourself too. Number 1. Conversations flow effortlessly. When two people connect on a genuine level, one of the first signs is how naturally they talk to each other. You don't need to prepare topics or overthink your words. The conversation simply unfolds. It's not about impressing the other person or trying to say the right thing. It's about enjoying each other's presence enough that the words come without effort. This effortless flow of conversation is more than just a sign of being talkative. It's a reflection of comfort, trust, and emotional connection. Let's break down why this happens and what it truly means. Number 1, you feel no pressure to fill the silence. When you're comfortable with someone, even the pauses in the conversation feel natural. You don't feel the need to scramble for a topic. Silence doesn't signal awkwardness. It's simply a shared moment of ease. This is rare and meaningful because it shows you both feel at ease in each other's presence. Number 2, the conversation feels balanced. In effortless conversations, no one dominates and no one withdraws. You both ask questions and give thoughtful answers. You listen as much as you speak. This balance makes the exchange feel fair and enjoyable, rather than like an interview or a monologue. Number 3, you jump from topic to topic naturally. Sometimes you start talking about the weather and somehow end up discussing life goals, childhood memories, or the book you're reading. The topics connect naturally. Even if they seem unrelated, you don't have to force transitions. They happen on their own. This flow is a sign that your minds are in sync and your curiosity about each other is genuine. Number 4, you share and receive without hesitation. Effortless conversation involves a safe space to share thoughts, opinions, and even small personal stories. You feel heard and respected when you speak. They open up too, without you having to push for details. This mutual openness builds trust over time. Number 5, you laugh together easily. Shared laughter is one of the clearest signs of connection. Jokes don't need to be perfectly crafted. They just happen naturally. Even a simple observation can turn into a moment of shared humor. When laughter flows with conversation, it deepens the bond without either of you trying. Number 6, you lose track of time. A conversation that flows effortlessly often makes you forget how long you've been talking. Minutes can turn into hours without you realizing it. You may be surprised when you notice how much time has passed. This happens because you're fully engaged in the exchange, not distracted or bored. Number 7, you both listen with genuine interest. Good conversation is about listening as much as speaking. You're not just waiting for your turn, you're genuinely curious. You respond thoughtfully, showing that you're paying attention. This mutual interest creates a rhythm that feels effortless and natural. Number 8, you don't feel judged for your thoughts. When conversations flow, you feel safe expressing your ideas, even the ones that are a bit unusual. The other person doesn't dismiss or ridicule what you say. Instead, they engage with your thoughts, adding their own perspective. This safety encourages deeper and more meaningful exchanges. Number 9, you both contribute to the energy. In a one-sided conversation, one person drives all the energy while the other passively responds. But when it flows, you both feed into it. You build on each other's points. You share enthusiasm for the topics you're discussing. This shared energy is what keeps the exchange alive and enjoyable. And number 10, you look forward to the next conversation. When the exchange feels natural and uplifting, you naturally want to do it again. You might replay parts of the conversation in your mind later. You look forward to the next time you can talk without it feeling like an obligation. It's a sign that you value not just the person, but the way you communicate together. Number 2, you both remember the little details. In many relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or growing connections, the small things often hold the greatest weight. Grand gestures might get attention, but it's the little details, remembered and acknowledged, that make a person feel truly valued. When 2 people both notice and remember these details about each other, it's a sign of attentiveness, mutual respect, and genuine interest. It shows you are both listening, not just with your ears, but with your mind and heart. Let's break down why this matters, what it looks like, and how it shapes a deeper connection. 1, it shows true presence. When someone remembers small details you've shared, it means they were truly present in the moment. They didn't just hear your words, they absorbed them. For example, you mention your favorite tea, brand in passing, and a week later they surprise you with it. You tell them your pet's name, and months later they still ask how your pet is doing. When both of you do this for each other, it creates a natural balance. Neither side feels like they're carrying all the emotional weight of remembering. This is presence in action. 2, it reflects emotional investment. Mutual remembering is not just about having a good memory, it's about caring enough to store that detail. If you say you have an important meeting next week, they remember to ask how it went. If they tell you about a personal goal, you remember to check in later on their progress. This signals emotional investment. Both of you are saying, without words, what matters to you matters to me. 3, it strengthens trust. Trust is built not only through promises kept, but also through these quiet acts of remembering. When someone recalls a detail you didn't expect them to, such as the exact date you moved into your new home, it reinforces that they pay attention to you as a person, not just to the surface of conversations. Mutual remembering creates a two-way safety net. You know they are reliable. They know you are reliable. That's trust in action built piece by piece. 4, it makes you feel seen. One of the most powerful human needs is to feel seen. Remembering the little details is a form of recognition. Imagine telling someone about your love for a certain book as a child, and months later they mention that book in a conversation. That moment says, I see you, I remember you, and you matter. When both people do this, it's mutual affirmation. You each feel validated without having to fight for attention. 5, it deepens emotional connection. Every remembered detail becomes a thread in the shared fabric of your relationship. These threads might be small individually, but together they form a tapestry of understanding. You both remember inside jokes from months ago. You recall the exact way they like their coffee. They remember your favorite walking route in the park. These small touches create an emotional shorthand between you, a language only the two of you fully understand. 6, it encourages reciprocity. When you notice that someone consistently remembers things about you, it naturally inspires you to do the same. This is not out of obligation, but because you want to match their thoughtfulness. Remembering creates a rhythm. You share, they remember, they share, you remember. This balance prevents one-sidedness and keeps the connection healthy. 7, it prevents people from feeling overlooked. Sometimes people feel invisible, even in relationships. Forgetting important details can unintentionally make someone feel like they don't matter. But when both of you remember, neither person feels overlooked. Each person feels valued for more than just their presence. They feel valued for their uniqueness. This reduces misunderstandings and increases warmth in the relationship. 8, it makes milestones more special. When both of you recall important dates or moments, celebrations feel more meaningful. Remembering the anniversary of a shared achievement, acknowledging the exact day you first met. These aren't just dates, they're reminders that your journey together matters. 9, it helps during difficult times. Mutual remembering isn't just about happy details, it can also bring comfort during challenging periods. They remember the date of a loved one's passing and check in on you. You remember the day they had to face a difficult medical appointment. This kind of thoughtfulness says, I am with you in the highs and the lows. 10. It's a sign of balanced effort. A relationship where both people remember details is usually healthier than one where only one person does the remembering. It means you both value the relationship enough to invest in the little things. Balanced effort is what keeps connections from feeling one-sided or draining. Number 3, you make each other feel comfortable. One of the clearest signs of genuine connection, whether it's friendship, family, or something deeper, is the ability to make each other feel at ease. Comfort isn't about having every conversation perfectly planned or knowing exactly what to say. It's about creating an atmosphere where both people can simply be without feeling judged, pressured, or misunderstood. When you make each other feel comfortable, you're not just enjoying someone's company. You're creating a safe emotional space where trust, honesty, and warmth naturally grow. Here's how that comfort shows up in real life. You don't feel the need to impress. In the early stages of knowing someone, people often put on a best self act, carefully choosing words, overthinking what to wear, or worrying about how they come across. But when you're truly comfortable with someone, that need fades. You can show up as yourself even if your hair isn't perfect or your day has been messy. You don't feel the pressure to tell only interesting stories. You can share the simple, ordinary ones too. You trust they'll appreciate you, not a performance of you. Silence doesn't feel awkward. With some people, every gap in conversation feels like a problem that needs to be fixed immediately, but comfort changes that. You can sit quietly together without scrambling for topics. A shared silence feels peaceful, not tense. You don't have to fill the air to prove the connection is there. In fact, the ability to share comfortable silence often signals a deep level of mutual trust. You share honest thoughts without fear. When you're at ease with someone, you don't filter every word to avoid being misunderstood. You can admit when you're having a bad day without worrying they'll think less of you. You can express an opinion, even if it's different from theirs, and still feel respected. You can show vulnerability, like sharing worries or doubts, without fearing judgment. Comfort isn't about always agreeing, it's about knowing disagreements won't threaten the relationship. You laugh freely and often. Laughter is one of the strongest indicators of comfort. You can joke around without worrying if they'll take it the wrong way. Even small, silly moments feel genuinely funny because you're relaxed together. You laugh with each other, not at each other. When people feel safe, their sense of humor naturally comes out. You respect each other's pace. Comfort also means you don't feel the need to rush each other into topics, activities, or emotional territory before either of you is ready. You give each other space when need without offense. You let conversations unfold naturally instead of forcing them. You accept that sometimes one of you might be quiet, distracted, or tired, and that's okay. This mutual respect helps maintain emotional balance in the connection. You're not afraid to be imperfect. When you like someone but don't yet feel safe, you might hide your quirks or mistakes. But true comfort allows for imperfection. You can admit when you've forgotten something or made an error. You can be a little clumsy, forget a word, or mispronounce something and laugh about it together. You're not pretending to be flawless because you know they value authenticity over perfection. You notice and adapt to each other's needs. Comfort isn't only about what you say, it's also about how you respond. If they seem tired, you don't push for more conversation. If you seem stressed, they might adjust their tone or pace to make things easier. You both sense when to offer help and when to give space. This sensitivity creates an unspoken understanding between you. You can be in each other's space without pressure. When you're truly comfortable with someone, just being around them feels natural. You can share a meal without feeling the need to talk every second. You can read, work, or relax in the same room without tension. You don't feel like you have to host each other constantly. You can just be. You encourage, not compete. Comfort also shows in how you react to each other's successes or struggles. You celebrate each other. S wins sincerely without jealousy. You offer encouragement when the other person is going through something tough. You're on the same side, not keeping score. This removes tension and replaces it with mutual support. You leave interactions feeling better. Perhaps the clearest sign of mutual comfort is how you feel afterward. Even short interactions leave you feeling lighter, calmer, or happier. You don't feel drained or uneasy. You feel recharged. You look forward to the next time, not out of obligation, but because it feels good to be around them. Number 4, your body language mirrors each other. The silent rhythm of connection. There's something fascinating about the way people interact when they feel truly connected. Sometimes it's in the way they laugh at the same time or how they instinctively lean forward together when the conversation gets interesting. Other times it's in the smaller things like adjusting your posture just after the other person does or resting your arm the same way without even thinking about it. This quiet, unconscious reflection of another person's movements is called mirroring, and it's one of the strongest nonverbal signs of mutual comfort and connection. It's not about copying someone in an obvious, deliberate way. Instead, mirroring happens naturally when two people's emotions, attention, and presence align. It's like music, where two instruments without any rehearsal just start playing in harmony. Let's explore the reasons this happens, what it means, and why it matters so much in human relationships. 1. It shows comfort and safety. When you're around someone you trust, your body tends to relax, your movements flow more naturally, your shoulders drop from tension, and you may find yourself sitting or standing in similar ways to them. If they lean back, you may lean back too. If they cross their legs, you might eventually do the same. One of this is calculated. It's simply your body expressing, I'm safe here. Psychologists note that this kind of body language shift is a subconscious sign that your guard is down. Your brain ridicule what you say. Instead, they engage with your thoughts, adding their own perspective. This safety encourages deeper and more meaningful exchanges. Number 9, you both contribute to the energy. In a one-sided conversation, one person drives all the energy while the other passively responds. But when it flows, you both feed into it. You build on each other's points. You share enthusiasm for the topics you're discussing. This shared energy is what keeps the exchange alive and enjoyable. And number 10, you look forward to the next conversation. When the exchange feels natural and uplifting, you naturally want to do it again. You might replay parts of the conversation in your mind later. You look forward to the next time you can talk without it feeling like an obligation. It's a sign that you value not just the person, but the way you communicate together. Number 2, you both remember the little details. In many relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or growing connections, the small things often hold the greatest weight. Grand gestures might get attention, but it's the little details, remembered and acknowledged, that make a person feel truly valued. When two people both notice and remember these details about each other, it's a sign of attentiveness, mutual respect, and genuine interest. It shows you are both listening, not just with your ears, but with your mind and heart. Let's break down why this matters, what it looks like, and how it shapes a deeper connection. 1, it shows true presence. When someone remembers small details you've shared, it means they were truly present in the moment. They didn't just hear your words, they absorbed them. For example, you mention your favorite tea, brand in passing, and a week later they surprise you with it. You tell them your pet's name, and months later they still ask how your pet is doing. When both of you do this for each other, it creates a natural balance. Neither side feels like they're carrying all the emotional weight of remembering. This is presence in action. 2, it reflects emotional investment. Mutual remembering is not just about having a good memory. It's about caring enough to store that detail. If you say you have an important meeting next week, they remember to ask how it went. If they tell you about a personal goal, you remember to check in later on their progress. This signals emotional investment. Both of you are saying, without words, what matters to you matters to me. 3, it strengthens trust. Trust is built not only through promises kept, but also through these quiet acts of remembering. When someone recalls a detail you didn't expect them to, such as the exact date you moved into your new home, it reinforces that they pay attention to you as a person, not just to the surface of conversations. Mutual remembering creates a two-way safety net. You know they are reliable. They know you are reliable. That's trust in action built piece by piece. 4. It makes you feel seen. One of the most powerful human needs is to feel seen. Remembering the little details is a form of recognition. Imagine telling someone about your love for a certain book as a child, and months later they mention that book in a conversation. That moment says, "I see you, I remember you, and you matter." When both people do this, it's mutual affirmation. You each feel validated without having to fight for attention. 5. It deepens emotional connection. Every remembered detail becomes a thread in the shared fabric of your relationship. These threads might be small individually, but together they form a tapestry of understanding. You both remember inside jokes from months ago. You recall the exact way they like their coffee. They remember your favorite walking route in the park. These small touches create an emotional shorthand between you, a language only the two of you fully understand. 6. It encourages reciprocity. When you notice that they've shared enough experiences that their default way of being together naturally aligns. 7. It's a universal human signal. Mirroring isn't tied to culture, age, or background. It's a universal human behavior. From young children to older adults, people everywhere tend to reflect the body language of those they feel connected to. This makes mirroring a valuable tool in cross-cultural communication where words may differ, but human connection remains the same. 8. It can help resolve tension. Interestingly, mirroring can sometimes help ease tense situations. When people in a disagreement begin to match each other's calmer gestures, like uncrossing arms or relaxing posture, it can signal a readiness to find common ground. This doesn't mean pretending to agree. It simply means showing openness through body language, which can encourage a more cooperative tone. 9. It happens in groups too. While mirroring is often discussed in the context of one-on-one conversations, it also happens in groups. A team listening to a speaker might all tilt their heads in the same way. A circle of friends laughing together might all lean forward slightly. Group mirroring builds a shared sense of belonging, making everyone feel part of the same moment. 10. It's one of the quietest yet strongest signs of connection. Because mirroring happens silently and without effort, it's easy to overlook. But in many ways, that's what makes it so powerful. It's not about performance or trying to impress. It's about genuine alignment, your mind and body responding naturally to someone else's presence. When you notice mirroring happening, it's often a sign that the connection you share is real, mutual, and unforced. 5. You find reasons to spend time together. Human connections are often built quietly through a series of moments that seem small at the time, mean everything in the long run. We may think of relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or deeper connections, as being shaped by grand gestures or life-changing events. But in reality, they grow in the everyday choices we make. One of the most telling choices is this. When you like someone's company, you find reasons to spend more time with them. It's a pattern as old as human interaction itself. You don't have to declare it, you don't have to explain it. You simply start looking for ways to share more space, more experiences, and more hours with that person. Sometimes it's deliberate, sometimes it's spontaneous, and sometimes it's just a happy coincidence that happens far too often to be purely by chance. In this article, we'll explore what this really means, how it shows up, why it's important, and the many subtle ways it plays out in real life. 1. It begins with a shift in priorities. When you genuinely enjoy someone's company, you begin to notice that your time is being shaped differently. You could spend your evening catching up on shows, scrolling on your phone, or working through chores. But if there's an opportunity to see them, you lean in that direction instead. And it's not just about fitting them into your free time. Sometimes you'll create free time. You leave work a little earlier. You choose to postpone a task that isn't urgent. You rework your schedule in small but meaningful ways. This isn't about neglecting responsibilities. It's about recognizing that moments with people we value are worth protecting. Number 2, you move from big plans to everyday moments. At first, you might only meet for larger, more planned-out activities, events, dinners, group hangouts. But when a connection is strong, something changes. The everyday moments start to matter just as much. You begin inviting each other into simple routines, grocery shopping, meeting for coffee before work, walking to the bus stop at the same time. These moments may not be glamorous, but they carry a quiet comfort. They show that your desire to be around each other isn't dependent on special occasions. You simply enjoy the presence. Number 3, conversations become gateways to more time. One of the easiest ways to spend more time with someone is through conversation. And when the connection is mutual, conversations have a way of stretching far beyond the expected. You might start with a quick question or casual comment only to realize you've been talking for an hour, and often you'll find yourself saying, "Oh, that reminds me," or "before you go," or "one last thing." These are small signals that you're not ready for the interaction to end. You're finding ways to extend it, not because you need to, but because it feels good to keep it going. Number 4, you begin to blend your worlds. When you want to spend more time with someone, you often start including them in parts of your life they weren't part of before. If you're attending an event, you might invite them along. If you're meeting a friend, you might suggest they join. If you have a hobby, you might ask if they want to try it with you. These invitations aren't about just filling time. They say, "I want you to be part of the things I care about." Number 5, you notice the small opportunities. Mutual interest sharpens your awareness of opportunities to connect. If you're in the same building, you might drop by for a quick hello. If you hear they're nearby, you might suggest meeting up. If you both have a few minutes free, you might use it to chat or walk together. It's not about making a huge effort each time. It's about recognizing and seizing the smaller openings that life naturally provides. Number 6, you're willing to rearrange your day. Life is busy. People have commitments. But when you want to spend more time with someone, you're willing to be flexible. You might shift a lunch break so you can meet at the same time. You might start your errands earlier to free up the afternoon. You might even move around tasks so that your schedules align. This flexibility doesn't feel like a sacrifice, it feels like an investment in something that matters. Number 7, you extend time without realizing it. A clear sign of mutual enjoyment is that the time you spend together often goes on longer than planned. A short phone call turns into a long one. A quick visit becomes an afternoon. You keep saying, "I should go," but somehow don't move toward the door. When you lose track of time in someone's company, it's because you're fully present, something that doesn't happen with just anyone. Number 8, you balance initiatives. Healthy mutual connections have balance. If you're always the one suggesting plans, it might mean the interest isn't mutual. But if you notice they're also inviting you, checking in, or making the first move, sometimes it shows both of you are putting in effort. This balance is important because it ensures no one feels like they're chasing the other. Instead, you're both walking toward each other. Number 9, you make the most of short moments. Not all interactions have to be long to be meaningful. You might meet for just 10 minutes between appointments. You might chat while waiting for something. You might simply exchange a few words in passing, but still feel like it brightened your day. When you find value, even in brief moments, it's a sign the connection is more about quality than quantity. Number 10, you feel content in their presence. Perhaps the most important sign of all, you don't need constant activity to enjoy being together. You could be walking quietly, sitting side by side reading, or even working on separate things in the same room, and it still feels right. This quiet comfort is one of the strongest indicators that the desire to spend time together comes from a genuine place, not from a need to fill silence or distract yourself. Why this matters in relationships. Finding reasons to spend time together is more than just a behavioral pattern. It's a reflection of emotional investment. Psychologists have long studied proximity and interaction as key factors in building stronger bonds. But there's a key difference between time spent out of obligation and time spent by choice. When it's by choice, the moments are lighter, more open, and more genuine. Number 6. You both show genuine interest in each other's lives. Introduction. More than just small talk. In a world where conversations are often short, rushed, and surface level, it's rare to find someone who genuinely wants to know how you are beyond the polite "how's it going?" That's why when two people truly take interest in each other's lives, it stands out. This kind of interest is not about being nosy, keeping score, or having something to talk about when things get quiet. It's about a sincere desire to understand the other person's experiences, feelings, and perspectives. It's mutual, consistent, and natural. When you both share this genuine curiosity, your conversations feel effortless. You're not just exchanging words, you're exchanging pieces of your life. And over time, that builds a bond that is deeper, stronger, and more meaningful than most connections people experience. Let's explore the different ways this kind of interest shows up, why it matters, and how it shapes relationships of all kinds. Number 1, you ask questions that go beyond the surface. A telltale sign of genuine interest is when you both ask questions that require more than a one-word answer. Instead of sticking to quick exchanges like, "How's your day?" "What's new?" or "Everything okay?" you ask for specifics. You remember what they told you before and follow up. If they mentioned an important presentation at work last week, you'll ask how it went. If they said they were nervous about meeting someone new, you'll check in to see how they felt afterward. The depth shows you're paying attention when they speak. You care enough to store details in your memory. You value their experiences not just as events, but as moments that affect them. Example, if they told you they were planning a big garden project, you might later ask, "How's your garden coming along? Did those flowers you planted last month start to bloom yet?" That question communicates that you remember, you listened, and you care. Number 2, you follow up on the details they share. Listening is good, remembering is better, following up is best. When you recall and bring up something they told you days, weeks, or even months ago, it creates a sense of being seen. It's a subtle way of saying, "What you said mattered to me, and I carried it with me." Examples of follow-up interest include asking about a family member they mentioned, checking in about a challenge they were facing, bringing up a small personal goal they once shared. It's not about keeping a mental checklist. It's about naturally holding on to what's important to them because they're important to you. Number 3, you celebrate each other's wins. When something good happens to them, you feel happy as if it happened to you. Their success doesn't trigger jealousy. It inspires pride and excitement. Celebrations don't always have to be big gestures. Sometimes it's sending a congratulatory text, sharing a joyful reaction in person, remembering to follow up with, "I'm so proud of you." Even small wins, finishing a difficult task, getting through a stressful week, deserve recognition. It's in these shared moments of joy that you strengthen your emotional connection. Number 4, you offer support during challenges. True interest isn't only about showing up for the highlights, it's about being there during the hard chapters too. You both make an effort to check in when the other is struggling. You ask how they're doing and mean it. You listen without rushing them or trying to fix everything. Sometimes the most powerful form of support is simply saying, "I'm here if you need me," or "I know you're going through a lot, how can I help?" or "You don't have to go through this alone." Genuine interest means caring about the person's well-being, even when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, or difficult. Number 5, you engage with their interests. Even if you don't share the same hobbies, you take time to learn about what excites them. Maybe they're passionate about a sport you've never played, or they love a type of music you don't usually listen to. Instead of dismissing it, you lean in with curiosity. You might ask them to explain how something works. Watch or number 7. You share inside jokes and unique references. There's something quietly magical about the moment you realize you and another person share an inside joke. It's not loud, dramatic, or planned. It's just there, forming naturally out of a shared experience, a passing observation, or a humorous misunderstanding. From that point on, a simple word, phrase, or even a look can send you both into laughter, or at least a knowing smile. No one else in the room might understand what's so funny. And that's the point. This is something personal. When two people share inside jokes and unique references, it's more than just being humorous together. It's a sign of comfort, trust, and a connection that goes deeper than surface-level interaction. It says, without saying it outright, we have our own little world here. In this article, we'll explore why these moments are so special, how they develop, what they reveal about your relationship, and why they often serve as the foundation for deeper bonds. 1. Shared jokes are born from shared experiences. Every inside joke has an origin story. It might have started with something small, a funny sign you both saw during a walk, an unexpected sound during a serious meeting, or a mistake one of you made that became endearing instead. D. Of embarrassing. The key is that these moments are shared. If you had been alone, they wouldn't mean much, but because you experienced them together, they become something memorable. These moments create a mental snapshot in both your minds. And every time you reference them later, you're not just laughing, you're reliving that shared memory. Example, imagine you and a friend attend a seminar where the speaker mispronounces a simple word in a very unique way. It's not mean-spirited to notice. It's just genuinely unexpected. Later, when that same word comes up in normal conversation, one of you says it with the same pronunciation, and instantly you both smile. To everyone else in the room, it's just a word. To you two, it's a memory trigger. 2. They're a sign of comfort and trust. Inside jokes don't form with just anyone. You can share a public joke with strangers, but inside jokes require familiarity. They grow out of repeated interactions and the comfort to laugh freely without worrying about judgment. When you share inside jokes, you're signaling trust in several ways. You trust the other person to understand your humor. You trust them not to take your words out of context. You trust them to value the moment just as you do. This mutual comfort creates a safe space for playfulness. And playfulness is one of the healthiest signs of a strong, genuine connection. 3. They strengthen emotional bonds. Think of your relationship as a bridge. Every positive experience adds a plank or strengthens the rope. Inside jokes are like decorative carvings on that bridge, small personal touches that make it uniquely yours. When you share an inside joke, you reaffirm your shared history. You signal that you notice and remember the same things. You reinforce the idea that you are in sync in some way. This repetition builds an us feeling, two people walking through the world with their own lens, occasionally looking at each other to say, "Did you see that too?" 4. They make conversations more enjoyable. A conversation with someone you have no history with can be pleasant, but it's rarely as effortless as one who knows your references. When you have inside jokes, conversations feel warmer and more engaging, have built-in humor you can revisit, allow you to move between serious and light-hearted topics without awkwardness. Even in moments of seriousness, a shared joke can act as a pressure valve, releasing tension without derailing the discussion. 5. They prove you're paying attention. Inside jokes are often built from small details that could be easily missed. The way someone says a word, a slightly unusual pattern on a shirt, the tone of an announcement in a public place. To notice these things together means you're both tuned in, not just to the world, but to each other. This shared noticing shows you're actively engaged in each other's experiences, not just passively passing time together. 6. They create a private language. One of the most charming aspects of inside jokes is their exclusivity, not in a mean way, but in a special way. Sometimes it's a single word that makes sense only to you two. Sometimes it's a hand gesture, a raised eyebrow, or a small nod. This private language allows you to communicate thoughts in public without anyone else knowing. Quickly connect in group settings. Feel like you have something that belongs only to your bond. 7. They add playfulness to the relationship. Playfulness is underrated in adult relationships. Life gets busy, responsibilities pile up, and conversations can become purely functional. Inside jokes inject a sense of lightness and joy into everyday life. Even a serious discussion can be momentarily softened by a gentle reference that makes you both smile. This playfulness keeps relationships from becoming overly rigid, reminding you both that there's still room for laughter. 8. They serve as a comfort in hard times. Humor, especially sharks. Red humor can be a quiet form of emotional support. When life is stressful, a quick inside joke can remind you of better times, break the tension, reconnect you to feelings of safety and belonging. It doesn't make problems disappear, but it can make them easier to face because it reminds you that you're not alone. 9. They show emotional synchrony. Humor is deeply tied to perspective. 2. People can watch the same event and find different things funny or not find it funny at all. When you share inside jokes, it often means you process events similarly. You notice the same odd or amusing details. You value the same kind of humor. This emotional synchrony is powerful because it means you're not just reacting to the same event, you're reacting in the same way. 8. You notice and respond to each other's moods. There's a quiet kind of connection that doesn't always make headlines. It's not built on grand declarations or dramatic gestures. Instead, it's woven from the smaller, more subtle threads of everyday life. Noticing when someone's mood shifts and responding with understanding. This kind of awareness might seem simple on the surface, but it's one of the deepest forms of care we can give. It says without words, I see you, I hear you, and I'm paying attention. When two people share this ability, when both notice and respond to each other's moods, it creates a deep sense of security. It's like knowing that someone has their ear tuned to the unspoken music of your emotions, able to hear when the melody changes. Let's explore the layers of this connection and the many ways it shows up in real life. 1. You pick up on subtle changes others miss. When you've spent enough time around someone, you start noticing details most people overlook. Maybe you can tell when they're tired even if they say they're fine, or you sense their excitement before they even share the news. These changes might be tiny, the way their tone softens, the way they sit a little differently, or the way their usual enthusiasm seems dimmed. It's not about guessing wildly, it's about truly observing. Example, imagine you walk into a room and see your friend sitting quietly, tapping their fingers against the table. Others might think they're simply passing time, but you've seen this before. You know they do this when they're anxious about something. Instead of ignoring it, you sit beside them and ask how their day is going. It's not dramatic, but it tells them you've noticed. 2, you adjust your own energy to match theirs. Noticing someone's mood is only half the equation. Responding is just as important. One of the most thoughtful ways to respond is by adjusting your own energy. If the other person is feeling low, you don't try to drag them into high-energy conversations. You slow down, speak more gently, and create a calmer environment. If they're joyful and excited, you meet their enthusiasm with your own, encouraging their good mood rather than dulling it. This adaptability shows that you're not just aware, you're considerate. Why this matters. When people feel that their emotions are accepted and respected, they feel safe. They don't have to pretend or mask their true feelings just to match the mood of those around them. 3, you offer comfort without taking over. Sometimes when someone's mood dips, it's tempting to rush in with advice or solutions. but often the best support is simply being there. You offer comfort in a way that doesn't overwhelm. Maybe it's making them a warm drink, sending them a thoughtful message, or just sitting with them in quiet companionship. The key, it's about presence, not pressure. You're not forcing them to explain everything or pushing them to cheer up before they're ready. Instead, you're giving them the gift of knowing they don't have to handle their feelings alone. Number 4, you celebrate their joys with sincerity. Responding to moods isn't only about handling low points, it's about embracing the highs. When the other person shares good news, you light up with genuine happiness for them. You don't just say that's nice, you ask questions, share in their excitement, and make it clear that their joy matters to you. Why this matters? When you celebrate someone's happiness as if it were your own, you deepen trust. They know you're not competing, envying, or downplaying their achievements. You're truly on their side. Number 5, you respect their need for space. Not all moods call for conversation. Sometimes people just need a little quiet time to process their thoughts. If you sense this, you give them that space without taking it personally. You understand that needing solitude doesn't mean they're upset with you. It's simply a natural part of how they cope. This shows maturity. It takes emotional strength to allow someone the room they need instead of demanding constant interaction. And often they come back more open and grateful because you respected their boundaries. Number 6, you learn their emotional patterns. Over time, you begin to recognize what influences their moods. Maybe you notice they're quieter after long meetings, or they get restless when plans keep changing, or they become more reflective on certain anniversaries or times of the year. This knowledge helps you respond in ways that feel tailored to them. It's not about managing their feelings, it's about understanding them enough to offer genuine, appropriate support. Number 7, you build a safe space for honesty. When someone knows their emotions will be met with empathy, they're more likely to share openly. You build this safe space by listening without interrupting, avoiding quick judgments, and making sure they feel heard. This doesn't mean you agree with everything they feel, it means you respect their right to feel it. Result, over time, they'll trust you enough to be real with you, whether they're feeling confident, uncertain, happy, or discouraged. Number 8, you check in without pressuring. Sometimes a gentle check-in is all it takes. You seem a little quieter than usual. Everything okay? Or I noticed you've been extra careful today. What's going on? These questions show attentiveness, but they also give the person control over how much they want to share. The tone is crucial. It should feel like an invitation, not an interrogation. Number 9, you understand that moods are temporary. If someone is down today, it doesn't define who they are or how they feel about you. You don't overreact or make assumptions. You simply meet them where they are, knowing things will eventually change. This steadiness helps them feel secure even when their emotions are in flux. Number 9, you respect each other's boundaries. Healthy relationships, whether they're friendships, family bonds, or romantic partnerships, are built on trust, mutual care, and respect. One of the most important pillars of that respect is understanding and honoring each other's boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. They're guidelines that protect a person's comfort, emotional well-being, and individuality. When two people truly respect each other, they recognize these boundaries and value them rather than see them as obstacles. Here's a detailed look at why respecting each other's boundaries is so important and what it looks like in real life. Number 1, boundaries show respect for personal space. We all have different levels of comfort with closeness, both physically and emotionally. Respecting someone's personal space means you don't crowd them when they need breathing room. It's understanding when they prefer quiet time or alone moments. It's recognizing that space doesn't mean disinterest, it's simply part of healthy self-care. Mutual respect for personal space builds trust and prevents feelings of overwhelm. Boundaries protect emotional well-being. Some topics, experiences, or emotions may be sensitive for a person. Respecting emotion. Our boundaries means not pushing someone to share more than they are ready to. It's about listening without prying and letting them open up on their own timeline. When both people honor emotional boundaries, it creates a safe environment for deeper trust to grow naturally. Boundaries keep communication healthy. Respecting boundaries often shows in the way you speak to each other. You avoid using words or tones that feel disrespectful or dismissive. You understand the topics they'd rather avoid and respect that choice. You listen carefully when they communicate their needs. When communication is handled with care, it keeps the relationship free of unnecessary tension. Boundaries encourage independence. A healthy connection allows space for each person to be themselves with their own hobbies, goals, and routines. You respect each other's time apart. You encourage personal growth without trying to control or influence every decision. This independence actually strengthens the bond because both people feel free rather than trapped. Boundaries build mutual trust. When you respect what someone asks of you, whether it's giving them time, listening without judgment, or honoring a promise, you prove that you can be trusted. Trust isn't just about keeping secrets. It's about consistently showing respect. The more both people keep each other's boundaries intact, the stronger the trust becomes. Trust is the foundation that allows the relationship to deepen without fear. Boundaries reduce unnecessary conflict. Many arguments start when someone feels their limits are being ignored. By respecting boundaries, you avoid stepping into situations that could create tension. You address differences calmly and respectfully rather than crossing lines. This doesn't mean you'll never disagree. It just means disagreements are handled in a healthier way. Boundaries help you understand each other better. When you take the time to learn and respect someone's limits, you gain a better understanding of who they are. You see what matters to them. You learn how they process emotions, handle stress, and maintain balance. Mutual understanding leads to deeper empathy and connection. Boundaries strengthen long-term connection. Short-term connections may survive without boundaries, but strong, lasting bonds depend on them. Respecting boundaries prevents burnout in the relationship. It keeps interactions balanced and fair over time. When boundaries are honored, both people feel valued, which makes them want to continue the relationship for the long haul. You both smile more around each other. There is something quietly beautiful about a smile. It's a simple facial expression, but it carries a remarkable amount of meaning. When two people naturally smile more in each other's presence, it's rarely accidental. It's a sign that there's comfort, positivity, and mutual appreciation in the connection. Smiling is often called a universal language. It crosses cultural boundaries, speaks louder than words, and often reveals what we're feeling before we even realize it ourselves. When you and another person find yourself smiling more whenever you're together, it can be a sign of warmth, trust, and genuine enjoyment of each other's company. Let's explore the reasons behind this shared reaction and what it might mean. 1. Smiling reflects emotional comfort. One of the most common reasons two people smile more around each other is comfort. When you feel safe and at ease in someone's presence, your facial expressions naturally soften, your body is relaxed, your guard is down, and your natural warmth shines through. If someone consistently makes you smile, it may mean they bring a sense of peace or lightness to your life. You don't have to overthink what you say. You're not trying to impress them and you don't feel judged. Instead, you feel accepted as you are, and that comfort often shows up as a genuine smile. Smiling is often called a universal language. It crosses cultural boundaries, speaks louder than words, and often reveals what we're feeling before we even realize it ourselves. When you and another person find yourself smiling more whenever you're together, it can be a sign of warmth, trust, and genuine enjoyment of each other's company, a sign of mutual appreciation. When people value each other's presence, their smiles become more frequent. It's almost like a silent, "I'm glad you're here." This doesn't require grand gestures. Maybe it's a quick smile when you meet, a shared laugh over something small, or a subtle grin during a quiet moment. These smiles are little acknowledgements of appreciation, small reminders that you both enjoy this connection. Smiling strengthens social bonds. Psychologists have found that smiling isn't just a reaction, it can actually strengthen the bond between two people. When you share a smile, your brains release good feel chemicals like dopamine and endorphins. These not only improve your mood, but also create a stronger association between that person and positive feelings. So the more you and someone else smile together, the more likely your minds are linking each other with joy, trust, and belonging. A reflection of shared humor and understanding. Sometimes the reason you both smile more is simple. You get each other, you understand each other's humor, notice the same amusing details, or react similarly to life's little moments. It's not always about telling jokes. It could be as small as exchanging a knowing smile when something ironic happens, or grinning at each other when you notice the same funny coincidence. These moments of shared amusement deepen your sense of connection, smiling as a non-verbal encouragement. Smiles can also serve as encouragement. When someone smiles at you while you're speaking, it's their way of silently saying, "I'm listening and I enjoy what you have to say." If you notice you both do this for each other, it's a sign of mutual respect and interest. Your smiles are part of a supportive communication style, one in which each person makes the other feel heard and valued. Smiles reduce tension. Even in more serious moments, the presence of a smile can ease tension. This doesn't mean you're making light of important topics, it means you're offering reassurance. If you both smile more around each other, it could be because you each have the ability to turn stressful moments into something lighter simply by being present for one another. It's often unconscious, and that's the best part. Perhaps the most telling sign is when you don't even realize how much you're smiling until you think about it later. The most genuine smiles aren't planned. They're a natural expression of how we feel. If you find yourself smiling more without trying, it's a clue that the other person is genuinely bringing out your lighter side, and you're doing the same for them.